Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Backpack Podcast, where we unpack your story so others can embrace it. My team and I have had the pleasure of flying all over the country to gather great stories from great individuals who have experienced success on all different levels. Our team would love to capture your story, so be sure to email us for more information. Now, before we get started, what I'd like for you to do is hit that subscribe button so that you can be alerted for all premium content from the Backpack Podcast. So now, are you ready? Let's go unpack. Guys, thank you for coming back. This is the Backpack Podcast, and I am blessed today to have GodDriven Global in the building. You know, what's interesting about the Backpack Podcast is I go to where you are. And so we're in this dope, building, Rome, Trillith. And these guys, I met them one day, heard their presentation, and they sold me on their story. They have a phenomenal product, financial literacy. They talk about generational wealth, generational family building. These guys are about family. And so I don't want to take too much time away from them. And I'm trying to sell their business, but guys, tell the people about who you are, a little bit about your backstory, and before we unpack the story.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Clark Curry Jr. Thank you for having us. I really do appreciate it. We all appreciate it. You giving us your time. A little bit about myself. Grew up in Indiana, Michigan City, Indiana, right there by Gary, Indiana, and you know how rough it is out there. Grew up to a single mother, had one sibling, which is my sister, but I realized at a very early age I need to do something different than what everyone else around me was doing. And I'm talking about gangs, going to jail, get out. Repeat the cycle. Sometimes there was death involved. So I knew early that if I didn't leave that situation, I would become a part of that situation. Right. So I ended up joining the military, joined the Air Force, was in the Air Force for 15 years, and ended up leaving the military because of the opportunity and the business model that we created. Out there in Japan, that's when I met that's where we actually met our very first mentor. And at that time, I really didn't understand the importance of having a mentor. But when you get a mentor in your life, it changes everything. Yeah. And the beautiful part was I wasn't seeking the mentor found me, and then I truly became the mentee. And one thing that he did for us, he put us on a book. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Mm-hmm. And that book completely changed everything because that's when I learned about cash flow. That's when I learned about the 4 quadrants. And that's when I understood that my family and my friends, we were all living on the left side of the quadrant. Gotcha. But the trick was how to switch our mindsets and get on the right side. Mm-hmm. On the right side, that's where the wealth is. That's where the wealth was. And I didn't know that. And me not knowing that at an early age, it crippled me. Yeah. It set me back. And I say this not because money wasn't good in the military. It's okay, but there was a lot of things that we had to do for that. I've been overseas. We've both been overseas, been to Iraq, Afghanistan. When 9/11 happened, we were there on the ground front. So we understand real wartime. Got shot at, got bombed at. And, that was a very traumatic experience. And, I give credit to all the military personnel out there who are serving right now because everyone cannot do that. It takes a special person to do that. So after we met our mentor. He actually flew out there to us, and we were out there doing a business and just learning and developing ourselves. But when you find your passion and when you have that determination to continue to go no matter what, the mentor will find you and you become the mentee. So once we started doing that, I ended up meeting my brother, and I'll let him tell his story. But just to give you a little bit, he's my best friend right here. And I showed him something, and I told him about something, and he told me no. And it was like a gut check. Because here...
I didn't say no.
Here.
Yeah, the story gets unpacked right here. Yeah. Tell us real...
I'd rather say no. I just dodged them for a week. That's not a no, is it?
Right. So if you like me and you do that, now you put me on standby. That's what like, here he is, my boy, and he told me no. That's how I took it, But his no was not going to affect my decision.
Right.
You know, I was going to continue to do this. And what happened was I learned a skill that completely changed my life forever. And while learning this skill right here has allowed me not to work a job for the last 7 years and married with 5 kids. I say that.
You said married with what? How many
Married
kids?
with 5 kids.
Who does that anymore?
Bro.
Jeez.
Hey, I love my wife, you know.
So I'll give you that on that.
So with that being said, I'm just gonna stop right there because this skill that we started to embark on together completely changed everything, and we know that God was in this because at that time we didn't understand why we were going through the things that we were going through. We didn't understand that everything happened to that point would position us right now to not only help families, but to impact millions of people around the world. And I'll let you go ahead.
Before you go, he said a lot.
Thanks,
that
bro.
needs to be unpacked, sir. Look, I got a backpack. We're unpacking this thing, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so in business, there's a point when you decide, okay, I got to do something different.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And your story, to me, what I hear, the military has a lot to do with that decision making. I want you to go back to that moment when you was like, okay, this is no longer working for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when because I know you brought an idea, so you had a vision, but what was going on with you? What happened? Like, in that moment, we want to hear that. These are other entrepreneurs that are they're in the same situation. You're on the other side of that, but what happened?
To be honest, I got tired of doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results. We both knew that we had to do something different. And
yeah, this is in the military. You were in the military at this time.
This is the military.
Okay.
And the biggest thing, and his story's a little deep as well, but we didn't know if we were coming home. You know, what were we getting? 50 cents a day over there? 50 cents a day in Iraq. And then plus you get your hazardous and duty pay. But
whoa.
Yeah. So extra they get for going to war, spending that time over there, getting shot at, getting bombed at. We had bombers, Unabombers. You know, we had bombers trying to blow up gates. I don't know if you guys remember, but you remember hearing when the Chow Hall blew up over there? We were there. We were there when the Chow Hall blew up. So things changed because we didn't know if we were going to come back home. And here we are, you know, everyone's thinking that you guys have it. You guys have everything. You know, they see the military and they think everything is all easy. We're getting paid by the military. They're paying for your home and everything like that. But it goes so much deeper than that. It's not just about that because what we know and what we understand, the old American dream is gone. You can't live life the same way you used to. They promised us in America the white picket fence, the house, the good job, and you're good. But one thing that we started seeing was people going to school, going to college, and they graduate, and they can't even get a job in the career field where they graduated from. You know, the biggest thing was for me is when you have children, your job as the parent is to make sure your children don't go through the same thing that you went through.
Right.
They're supposed to progress.
Right.
The situation is supposed to be better.
Right.
So that internally is what triggered for me. I had to do something different.
Wow. Okay. He unpacked it. He unpacked it. All right, sir.
So we gonna fight later, but it's okay. It's okay. I love my brother. So, and he's 100% right, you know. And just to pick up, you know, to start from the beginning, before God brought us together over in Japan. Born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. My name is Stanford Lamont Kimball II. That's the whole government name, right? And
I noticed you guys say that, the government name.
the whole government name. So, born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas.
Okay.
We do take offense to that.
Okay.
It's important. It's very important. And, you know, and I actually met my beautiful wife in high school. So we're actually high school sweethearts.
Nice.
You know, we met in 11th grade.
Congratulations.
And, you know, she got me young, y'all. I'm just playing.
Yeah,
I got her young. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Which one robbed the cradle?
It was probably me.
Okay.
It was definitely probably me.
Right.
But we was in the same grade, so it count.
Okay, yeah.
So, growing up over there, it's pretty much the story with that is the same. God revealed to me, like, I wanted something different. So my family was known for gamblers, drug addicts, and drug dealers, right? And I didn't want that lifestyle. I've had more than enough examples to show me what that led to. And that's not what I wanted. And also, I'm a numbers guy, right? And the biggest reason why is because as a child, I've been lied to a lot. But one thing that I found that it never lied to me are numbers.
Now, when you say that you were lied to a lot, unpack that for me.
So, as a child growing up on government cheese and food stamps, and I'm not talking about no EBT card. I'm talking about the paper when you rip it off, it's all loud.
Gosh.
You better pre-rip them things if you don't want nobody to know. You got. I was like, man, these things are loud.
Yeah.
But being a child growing up like that, there was a lot of empty promises from adults at that time, and not only just that, those type of relationships, it was more like the dog eat dog, and if somebody sees somebody progressing, then they want to come, and they call it the crabs in the barrel mentality. They want to pull you back down, or they're progressing and they never come back and share anything with you or the community, so everybody can progress at the same time. And that's the reason why I find a true passion in what we're doing is because we're able to give back and go back to those locations and give them something that we didn't have to be able to lift people up. Now, at that point, once you have the information, you don't do anything with it, then that's on you.
Right.
We just didn't have the information to actually take action on it. But I truly believe God puts a Moses in every family. And the reason why I say that is because we were in a situation of bondage that we didn't know about, but the bondage wasn't physical. The bondage was mental, and it was systematic, aimed towards that type of community. Not to go deep into that, but aimed towards that type of community. Right. And lack of information is how we stayed over there. And winning to us was just doing better than our neighbor. But even winning at that point, you're still losing. Right. Because you never see past our street corners. We only see, number on that street. And then when it comes to gangs, I'm 39th Street. I'm this street. And then we're going against each other. And these are the very people that we're supposed to be supporting and helping to rise up. So
wait a minute. So I grew up inner city. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like those numbers are rare that you get. I remember for myself, kind of my motivation. My cousin told me one time, he said, I've never seen grass before. I mean, we grew up in the concrete jungle. And I'll never forget him. We were in his bedroom, and he looked out the window. He said, Darnell never seen grass before.
Wow.
There's grass, but not grass
not
trees.
Like
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Yeah. And I'll never forget him saying that. And that really did something to me. I'm like, we've got to get beyond these walls.
Yeah.
I hear both of you all talking about how you grew up kind of in the concrete jungle as well. Mm-hmm. What was that moment for you?
The moment that everything
that you said, because I noticed, because again, those numbers are small where people are, everybody kind of, goes with the flow, gamblers, thieves, blah, blah, blah. What?
Mine, so for me, the change was, I grew up in a single family household. So it was my mother, I had an older brother, I had a younger brother, so I was the middle child. Okay. So off jump statistics were against me because the middle child is usually the most jacked up because I'm not the first and I'm not the last, so I'm the one left in limbo, right? But I also believe that that's why God gave me a different mindset because one thing I would look at is outcomes, because I understand, my grandfather, my grandmother always had a garden. And I would always see seeds planted in the ground, and I would always see plants come up and grow and bear fruit, right? So I'm like, so if a seed is planted in, it's going to grow and bear fruit based off of its kind, right? So if I'm planting the seed of poverty, it can bear fruit of poverty.
Come on, preacher.
Right? So don't say that in front of him. Don't say
That's the collection plate.
Oh my God. So and it became real simple to me, and God started showing me that. It became real simple. I was like, so if I plant the seed of a gang, all I can get is the outcome of a gang, which is going to be either shot or in jail. Right. One of the two. And I didn't want that anymore because, again, like I said, I had multiple examples. And not only that, I didn't understand why I would go and make the same mistake as somebody else. The thing is with our community and a community like ours is for whatever reason, we always start from ground zero.
Right.
You're supposed to grow and you build, and then you pass on. And when I say wealth, I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about the wealth and wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So that child is not starting at the same place as you. That's just crazy. Why would I want my son to start at the same place as me? No. I want him to start here because that's how a legacy is built, because now he can start from here, take what I've learned, and go even further.
Wow.
It seemed like the mindset was, I don't want my child to do better than me.
Jeez.
Or I want my child to be only do what I do or something like that. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to build it up. I was like, how in the world as blood you can be jealous of somebody that came from you? That doesn't make any sense. But that's the mindset of selfishness that most of the time, like I see, they don't even realize it.
They don't realize it.
At all. So I've never fit in. That's one thing as a child. I never fit in because I never understood. I was like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I follow my brother everywhere. He's 5 years older than me. I followed him everywhere. And I seen a lot of things with him walking on, because we just love walking along the streets and this and that. And I didn't realize till I became an adult how much God had his hand on us, because there's been many a times that we were in situations that we weren't supposed to get out of those situations. Right. And then, it's crazy too, because as a child, I would ask God, I was like, man, nothing ever happens to me. I was like, this happened. Something either happened before I got there or right when I left, or something happened where I couldn't go and something happened. And I thought I was missing something. So foolish.
Ain't that amazing?
So foolish.
How you think you're missing something? Because I didn't get in trouble.
Exactly, because I didn't get it, because I wasn't the one to get in trouble. And everybody had these, what I thought was an exciting life, but I still learned from those stories.
Right.
That's why I told you before, like, I love origin stories.
Right.
Because there's always something to learn. I'm always a student. I'm
Right.
never a master at anything that I do.
Right.
And I'm always willing to receive with a mindset of the imagination of a child. And I stay in that constant state of alpha state of being able to grow. So to progress to the story, because we've been on childhood a lot. So
No, that's good. That's important.
That's true.
I believe that people don't realize how much we live out our childhood.
We really do.
We do.
Oh my God, we really do.
We don't. If we don't address some of those issues that
That's
we
right.
dealt with as a child, we live them out as adults.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely. There's still things that linger. I know I still have some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And with that, so that's also why I like origin stories, because I know a gift that God has given me is when I hear somebody's origin story, and then when we start talking about problems, I see that a lot of people attack the problem at the branch or the fruit, and they never address the root, but not because they don't want to, because they didn't know that was the root.
They didn't know that was a root.
So when you track it all the way back, that's how you're able to, that's why I do that now,
Yep.
because that's what I seen, and it's so buried in our subconscious and back there, and our mouths say one thing, but our actions say something else. But we're not looking at our actions. We're listening to our mouths. It's like, yeah, you said that, but why are you still over here? It's like, I am doing that. Autopilot. So we really have to reprogram, go back and address, forgive ourselves, especially for decisions that we made.
Yep.
Address those things. Give them to God. Let it go, and create and move forward and see how to grow with that.
You know how much work that is?
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And
It's
a lot of
of
times, and a lot of times
Exactly.
people are not willing to do that work
Yep.
to get to the other
They
side.
don't want to see that past
And
again.
that's what's so important to me about you all's story, because I know it was work.
Yes.
I think when people see your product, I know we even talked about your product yet, but when we see your product, you're like, oh my God, that is amazing. But your origin stories is what helped create this
That's
product.
right. That's right.
The blood, sweat, and tears. So when he let that thing roll off his mouth as easy as it does, when he shared, I was like, oh my gosh, his story is deep. His story is deep. So I'm sorry, but
No, ain't no apologizing at all. So, so fast forward, graduating out of high school, I knew that I could not stay in Kansas City, because I knew if I stayed there, I wouldn't be able to go and get something that my family was missing. And by family, I mean blood and relatives that helped raise me, right? And the people that are around me. So I also went off to the military at 19. My older brother paved the way for that big time, because he actually joined before me.
Okay.
And because I wouldn't have probably never chosen the military. But,
Thank you, big brother. Thank you. Thank you.
but he was stationed over in California. I remember visiting him in his dormitories over there, and I was like, if he can do it, I know I can do it. I was like, and then not to mention, I like the life. I was like, man, look at the freedom. You get to do this, this, and this. You don't have to. I was like, man, I gotta listen to mama no more. Like,
yeah.
I got my own. So when I made that decision to move off and go in, my mindset was this. I was like, I can go, man. I can retire at 38. I can get out. I can make I can get a contracting job doing the same thing, making 6 figures. Do that for another few years. Get another retirement on top of that. I'm winning. But at the time, I'm comparing myself to where I came from, because I was winning based off of where they were. It was that comparison is dangerous and is limiting. Wow. Especially based off of your environment and who you're around. Right. Because you're the people where you are could be here, and then you're like, oh, if I get there, I'm winning. When God wants you here.
Oh, that's good. That's bro. That's good.
Say that one more time, man.
So you can be around people that are here, and then you can make your goals for here. But God wants you so much higher, and that's exactly where it's not just that. All of us are supposed to be there. Back to the seed. We are all born with that.
I'm sorry. That's huge because your vision is based on what you're around.
That's it.
And if your vision is limited,
that's it.
It can be very, very limited.
Yes.
Based on what you're around. And you're like, okay, well, he got a Gucci watch, so I got that's rich to me,
right?
And now I got a Gucci watch. That means I'm rich. Limiting.
Yep.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous.
And with that, I love that you use that example, because with that same example, that also shows that the person finds value the things that are on them. They don't find the value within themselves.
Y'all passed the collection.
Seriously. He's doing it today.
Let me take that note down. Say that one more time, bro.
Yeah. This is good stuff,
and
man.
That's really important, because I like that, and I call it the dumb stuff. I like the dumb stuff too. But the dumb stuff is not the value that's on me. The value is what God has placed within me. Because, and another thing too is, because when you leave those environments, people like, oh, you ever heard the term, I'm looking for myself. I'm searching for myself. I'm trying to find myself. The thing is everything that you need is already within you. Just like when you plant an apple seed, everything for that apple seed to grow and bear fruit is already programmed within that seed. We're the exact same way. We just have to unpack it.
He just plugged me. Be more careful. Did y'all hear that? Dude, you are on top of it right now. This is dope. Yeah, I hope everybody is really paying attention right now, because this is some really good stuff.
We ain't even got in the military yet.
I know, right? But I think this is important, because again, you don't realize how much on the inside of you. So there's a term, the journey is the reward.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, think about that. So everything that you have, everything that's happened to you along the way, your brother, relationship with your brother, high school, all these things help build who you are.
That's right.
And if you aren't able to go back and forgive yourself and address those things, you're so rich right now. $1 billion in the bank does it's no good in this moment. In this moment, it's all your experiences.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
The process.
Process, sir. Okay,
that
go ahead.
process.
Finish. I'm sorry.
So with that process, that was the beginning of starting of that process of now, mind you, at this time I didn't understand what God was taking me through. I had no idea what he was doing. I thought I was just following what I wanted to do, and he was like, yeah, sure you were.
Right. So
when I went off into the military, I got my first found little freedom. My first base was over in North Carolina.
Okay.
And also with that, at 19 years old, and I didn't realize this was a big deal even at the time, but at 19, I had my first house built and bought my first house.
Nice.
So I had my first piece of real estate in North Carolina. And I remember talking to my mom, and she was like, son, that's a big deal, because she was like, there's people my age, 40s, 50s, 60s that don't even have their own place. They have their own house. They're still renting. And they're scared to take the move. And the fact that you did this, don't get me wrong, I was terrified. I was terrified, because I was like, oh my God. But when you're doing something, and then that voice comes in your ear, like, what if this goes wrong? What if this goes wrong? What if this? You got to cancel and rebuke all of that.
Cancel.
Absolutely, yes. Because now I'm programmed to, when it comes, I do it regardless, because I'm like, you wouldn't waste time on me if what I was about to do wasn't about to be detrimental to what's going on, what's about to happen.
Right.
So, but back then, I thank God that I still made that decision and was able to move forward from there. So, I joined the military to travel. I did, for one, get out of Kansas City and to travel. But they took me to a lot of Iraqs and stands, and I will never take that story away. And here's the reason why. Even over there, like my brother talked about, getting mortared at, bombs, shot at, and all of those different stories that I won't necessarily go into. it gave me a perspective needed to come back to be able to encompass and consume other problems that people have, and to be able to show them, step back from it. Even an ant looks like a giant when he's this close to your eye, right? So to be able to back up from it and notice like, wow, we're truly blessed in this country. Even the homeless person can go into a restaurant bathroom and get clean water. Even a homeless person can do that. That is a blessing in itself, because over there, even if you paid your bill, you know if the light was coming on. I will tell one story. One of the Iraqi commanders over where we were, his family, because one thing about them is once they find out you're working with Americans, they're coming for you. But they don't just come for you; they come for your whole lineage.
Wow.
So they found he was actually on base, and they somehow they found out he was. And he got a call from his wife, and it was a package on his doorstep that his son found. Thank God he didn't touch it. But it was a bomb. They literally put a package bomb on his step, and if his son would have touched it, it would have been, his whole family would have been done.
Have you enjoyed what you've heard so far? If so, go ahead and hit the like button and tell us where you're watching from. Now, if you want to hear the rest of this story, click on the link in the description below to hear the podcast in its entirety. This is one episode you do not want to miss. These gentlemen unpacked in a major way. So thanks for joining another episode of the Backpack Podcast. We'll see you next week.